Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, I felt that it was needed to explain what debates are. That's one thing I feel like that a lot of times being a content creator, people will debate you on stuff and they will base it off of their own experience. Like, for an example, gaming. So if you go out and say that this new video game sucks, there will be people that will try to debate you on said video game and will make it seem like that it's better because they had a good experience with it. And that's the thing. What people need to understand about, for one, I guess, on subjects like that, is that everybody's going to have a different experience. So whether it's a video game, whether it's a movie, whether it's music or a musician, everybody's going to have a different experience with that form of entertainment or any other form of whatever, I guess, the main subject is of the debate. But also on top of that, what you have to remember is that just like how you want somebody to accept your argument in the debate, you also have to accept somebody's argument in the debate. And that's one thing just throughout my time of being a content creator. It's insane where if I talk on a video game, or it's mainly been video games, I will say. Like, recently there's the one video game where people are trying to argue with me and say that it's me, I guess, trying to have a skill issue or something, or overall having a skill issue. And I'm like, no, what people need to understand is that when video games let's just say racing games, use that since I guess that's the main idea behind this podcast episode. But no, let's overall just use racing video games as an example. Now, if you done came from a racing genre background where you done played Need for Speed, you done played Forza, you done played Midnight Club, Gran Turismo, there's all of these fun and different racing games, and then there's this one racing game that comes out where they already had came from a prestigious background, and that's the Project Cars series. Now, yes, Project Cars 3 might not have been the best game in the series, but still, it was a popular series. Now, if you come from a prestigious, I guess, background, because I believe the lead developer behind Project Motor Racing, he worked behind a lot of different racing games. I think it was like Need for Speed. Then it was some other ones. So he has some sort of racing video game experience. You come out with a racing game where it's not even so much as the experience that you have, but you just notice the lack of development that went into the game. Fam, that's not on the gamer. People need to stop doing that, where they want to blame the gamer because, I'm having a better experience with this, so therefore you need to have a better experience with it. No. Video games don't work like that. My favorite video game might be somebody's like the one video game that they hate the most. That's the thing. If there's ever a time where if I'm talking about a video game and somebody's like, I despise that video game, I hate it so much, I would be more so trying to figure it out. Like, well, why do you hate this video game? See, that's one thing about me, is that I'm really good at listening, so like when they tell me some stuff, I listen. I want to hear their side of the story. I want to understand where they come from in the whole situation. And there's two different occasions, two of them that I've talked on before, but I just remember where I had sat down and talked with I think one was a current Trump supporter and the other one was a former Trump supporter, but they explained why they so the one, I'm gonna just say allegedly, I believe that he was a Trump supporter, but no, this was when I did jury duty some years back. So I'm sitting down. I think I was waiting for them to call me to do jury duty. I can't remember why I went back in that room, but I think they did say, like, go back in that room. And then I guess, like, when either on the intercom or at some point in time, I was supposed to go back to the courtroom. But anyways, so I sit down at this table. I'm minding my own business. And this guy comes up and he just starts having a casual conversation with me. I'm like, all right, cool. He trusts me to have a conversation with him, so I'm going to give him a conversation. So he sits down, then he gets to talking about, because I think at the time when when we were talking to, like, just, the year frame and stuff, I think it was the same time when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling during the national anthem. And so he brought that up, and he was talking about how he didn't like that. Now, I overall know why Colin Kaepernick was kneeling during the national anthem, and I understand why he was doing that. And me personally, I don't see a problem with it, but I know that there are going to be people out there that do have a problem with it. I'm going to sit down and hear out what they have to say. I guess, I don't know, maybe that guy thought I was one of them like angry black people where if you bring something like that up, it's a sensitive subject and I gotta act wild and all this other stuff. No. That's one thing about me is that I love having conversations with people about stuff where I can hear out what they have to say about whatever it is that we're talking about. So if I sit down and I'm talking with somebody and they say that they hate video games, I will be listening and I'm like, I want to hear why they hate video games. And then at some point in time, just like how I sat down and listened to them, I want them to give me that same energy where they sit down and they listen to me and I explain why I like video games. Because no, yeah, there are people out there that just for some reason they hate video games. They hate people that play video games. Well, I don't think they so much as hate the people that play video games, but I think they just hate the idea of people sitting around playing video games. And no, and the thing is this, like, so the times where I have heard that argument before where people have talked on that, they was like, oh, I hate gamers, you know, it's like all they just want to do is just sit and play the game and stuff. I listen to them, I hear out what they have to say, because I do remember there was this one girl that went viral some years back where she talked on that, how like she wouldn't date a guy that plays video games. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, when you sit down and you think about it, right? The one thing I think most people don't want to like have happen to them is that they get cheated on. So explain to me, I guess like if that is something that you're worried about when you get into a relationship, explain to me, how is it bad that your significant other is sitting at the house chilling, you're seeing them, okay? So they're not cheating, they're not being secretive, they're not doing anything mysterious behind your back. They are sitting right there playing a video game, all right? And it could be a video game that you could potentially like. Now, I'm not saying that you have to play the game, but I'm just saying it's one of those things where I'm like, fam, they could be doing much more worse, you know? So yeah, that's why I'm like, it trips me out when I hear conversations like that where it's somebody talking about how they hate somebody or they hate the idea of somebody playing video games, and it's like, what's the problem with it though? Like, I'm not disturbing you. I'm not doing nothing. And I'm one of them type of gamers where if I'm like playing a game and somebody get to talk with me, I can multitask. I can hold a conversation. Cause no, I just recently got one of those, handheld Xboxes, and my family be having a whole conversation with me. I'm playing either a racing game. I'm playing a shooting game. I was just playing, Destiny and was talking with my mom. You know, so it's one of those things where I'm like, I can multitask, and Destiny is one of those games that you can't pause, because I know people are like, oh, well, what if it's one of those games that you can pause? Yeah, if I can pause, then I'm like, yeah, I'll pause the game and whatever conversation that they're having. I guess if it's a game that requires my full attention, then yeah, I will pause the game. But Destiny is one of those games that do require my full attention. But I don't know, I'm not trying to sound arrogant or cocky, but I guess I'm that good at Destiny to where I can play the game and then also hold a conversation with somebody. But at the same time, and I guess to overall explain that, because at one point in time, when not with Destiny 2, but with Destiny 1, I was putting in hours in that game like it was a full-time job. But that was the thing though, that me and my friends, we would play this game, or if there would be other games that my friends would play, and we will all be in the party chat and we'll be having a conversation talking about whatever. Like, I'm trying to think, I think one of the last few times I remember that happening was two of my friends, I think they were playing Call of Duty and I was playing Red Dead Redemption, and I was just doing random missions in there and stuff. But overall, though, I was able to hold that conversation. I was able to, like listen to what they were saying, chime in when I needed to chime in and stuff, but also play my game at the same time. But no, yeah, it's for some odd reason, people still don't like the idea of somebody sitting around playing video games. And so that's why I'm like, I guess if there is ever a day where I meet a woman and then, she's all like, hey, come over and spend the night. All right, cool. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm going to bring me some form of entertainment, because I'm like, I guess like, I'm not saying I'm somebody that could get easily bored, but there might be like a fill-in moment where she's doing her thing and I'm like, all right, cool. Let me go ahead and bring out this handheld Xbox and get the playing on it and stuff. I ain't gonna bring a whole big old giant video game console, because that's just doing too much. That's somebody that got a full-blown video game addiction, all right? And I think I am gonna probably do an episode where I talk on that, people with video game addictions. I guess some people would say, oh, well, you have a video game game addiction. It's like you post on a gaming channel every day and then you stream video games every day. Yeah, it's my job. I'm like, it's one of those things. No, when I was, it's crazy too, because when I was younger, I remember I went through this like binge where I wasn't even playing video games. Like, I was outside being a kid. I was up and down the streets riding my bike. I found more fun hanging out with my friends than playing video games, and it's still like that to this day. Like, if I'm playing a video game and my friend wants to hang out, putting that game aside, hanging out with my friends. Plus, on top of that too, like, if I could just explain, like, I guess for somebody that's not a gamer, explain like where the video game like industry is at right now, it sucks. Like, the video game industry right now sucks. It is not good. All right. So, but no, overall though, and that's how you should know that I don't have a video game addiction. Like, I'm not going out. It's one of those things, like, I more so put video games in my life because it's a part of my job. I'm looking for any opportunity to expand my job and expand my career. And so if video games can do that, then yeah, but I guess maybe if I wasn't a content creator, yeah, I probably still would be playing video games, but not as much as how I am, like, today or right now and stuff. So, because I'm trying to actually hurry up and rush this episode so I can go, and because there is a new game that I did just buy, and I'm like, I wanna play it, So, but anyways, but no, overall though, getting back to the, I guess seeing both sides of argument and things. But no, I just think that that's something that people need to practice this year, is see both sides of the argument. If you want somebody to hear you out, then you have to have that same energy back. You have to hear somebody else out. You can't just have like a one-sided argument and then just be all like, oh well, because no, it's actually funny. And that's another inspiration behind this podcast episode. I seen this video where it was captioned, "You're not good at arguments. You're just because you're yelling or something," or it's like, "You're not winning the argument because you're yelling. It's just showing how arrogant or ignorant that you are." I think that's how the caption went. But no, and I'm like, that's true. There's at times where it's like, I'll get into it with somebody on the internet or wherever and stuff, and they want to yell. Like, I can even think back on moments at my old job where this customer, he comes in, he gets this, cause we had like these fruit cups where you can, it's like these big giant, it's like kind of like how like them soup cups are. Like if there's like a not a fast food restaurant. I'm trying to think of a place that sells soup cups. I can't think of a place, but anyways, but it's these small round, cups where you can, put like a bunch of fruit in there and things. And so anyways, he fills it all the way up to the top. Now, we did have a sign up that said, fruit weighs 60 cents per ounce. And so he filled his all the way up to the top. He was putting berries, watermelon, and like he had a lot going on in that fruit cup. So he comes up, he pays for it, and then I think it was like maybe $6. I remember it being under 10, but I just can't remember the exact dollar amount. But I think if I had to say, it was at $6. So I tell him now, I'm like, okay, your total will be $6, such and such and some change. He's all like, $6, and he's like, don't you find that kind of expensive? So I'm letting him know, and I'm like, there's a sign over there that says it, like the fruit, it weighs 60, it costs 60 cents per ounce. So I don't know what else you need me to say after that, but I feel like I'm saying this as clear as I possibly can say it in the most simplest form of English, known to mankind. So I don't know how like else I can explain it, but no, so he's wanting to argue with me, and he's getting loud and he's yelling, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, I could go to, being not even ignorant TMossBoss, and I can start yelling back, but that's the thing though. I'm like, I get a good check at this place. I'm not trying to lose my job fooling around with somebody that most likely he's getting paid more money than me. I'm like, man, you're allowed to come here in a suit and a tie. Me, I got to show up here serving people in suits and ties. All right. I'm a cashier. I work around money. That doesn't mean that I have a whole lot of money. It just means that I work around money and stuff. But no, he's yelling about it. And I'm like, fam, it's 7 a.m. and because we opened at 8, so it was maybe like sometime past 8. I'm like, it's 8 a.m. and you're wanting to yell about some fruit, fam. I woke up a few hours ago. Do you honestly think? No. Hold on for a second, because if it was a day where I took a nap on the bus, so technically, I'll wake up for that moment to get ready, but then I immediately go right back to sleep on the bus. You're yelling at me, and I just woke up maybe 2 hours ago. I'm like my brain is like fully, it's open. It's just kind of like, like when a computer starts up and it got to make them build up noises and all that. That's my brain right now. You're really trying to yell at me about some fruit prices at 8 and some minutes in the morning. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. And so the other customers had started walking up. He's still standing there yelling at me about some fruit prices and stuff. I'm like, fam, I'm not doing this. Okay, I'm not. I'm like, because it's one of those things where I'm like, and I know people are going to probably ask me, did I find him intimidating? Like, was he scaring me? And this man, I was bigger than him. He might have had like weight on me, but I had height over him. And I also had youth over him. So he definitely would have put hands on me. I guarantee and I promise you, in the middle of that interaction, I would have been the last one to put hands on somebody. All right. And it definitely would have been a situation where the managers would have been all like, hey, this guy, he's a high end executive for these businesses that I serve, and they're threatening to press charges. So we're going to have to let you go. It's one of those things. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I don't want to put you guys in a situation, but I just know for next time, he ain't gonna do that no more. He ain't gonna put hands. But no, he's standing there yelling at me. I looked at the next customer, ignored him, and I was like, hey, how's your day going? I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you. And that's one of those things where it's like people think that you're you're entitled to their time when it comes down to an argument. And it's like, no, I'll shut that argument down. I don't care. The thing is this, I guess with me, I don't really care that much about arguing with people. Like people want to sit and argue with me and I'm like, fam, no, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm not going to waste my brain energy arguing with people are trying to come up with compelling arguments to win the argument. If you want to say that you won the argument, fine, go ahead. Say that you won the argument. Have like a whole Undertaker undefeated streak when it comes to arguments. But when it comes to me, it's one of those things. I don't care. I'm defeated when it comes to arguments. I have a reverse Undertaker streak. I'm defeated. Okay, so yeah, it's one of those things. I just don't care, and I think a lot of people need to understand that. It's not one of those things where people got to sit around and argue with you. It's like if a person don't want to argue, they don't want to argue. So. But anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Arguing, debating, all that stuff. But yeah, it's like, because I feel like that it was about like that. Because I feel like it's kind of like one and the same, arguing and debating. It might be a debatable statement to make. But anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow or subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. And peace.